one resolution that was asking this body to support the students in Florida and their issues of trying to get better programs in place for mental health and gun control. That was the resolution. And then I dropped a bill that would outlaw all semi-automatic rifles, the AK series and the AR series and all the other series that have been put in place. With the number of school shootings that we have had in this country even this year, and over time we continue to see many of our children lose their lives because people come into the schools with some form of mental condition, and they're able to kill so many of our young people within seconds and minutes. It's time that we had that conversation in the state of Alabama as well as across this country, because it appears as though it's all right for our children to be killed, and nothing is done about it. I think that it's time. So therefore, I did the resolution to support the children in their effort to get better gun control laws, and I support their efforts for us to improve our mental health system. And we've had several bills dealing with the same situation. We even had a bill dealing with mental health where I amended it to allow people that's doing marriage and family counseling to go into schools so that we could deal with the whole family once a child is identified with having some type of mental problem. So that's in line with that. But gun control, there's absolutely no reason for a hunter or anybody else to use a semi-automatic rifle or one or a rifle that is adapted so that they can do multiple shots within seconds. If it's hunting, they tear up whatever game they're trying to hunt. And I know people want to hide behind the Second Amendment, but those weapons were used for war. And I did the research on the AR-15s, and the AR-15s were bought in form during the Vietnam conflict because our military needed higher powered weapons to fight the Vietnamese when you looked at other countries were supplying them. And even though that form that they used in Vietnam was different from the AR-15, but it replaced the one that was used in war. So it's time that we as a country, you look at other countries, England, they don't have large school shootings because of semi-automatic weapons. We're supposed to be the greatest country on earth. And with all of our knowledge and experience, we still have to rely on weapons all the time, and especially when our children continue to lose their lives. Somebody in elected bodies across this country, from state houses to Congress, ought to be saying enough is enough.
Had some good debates as far as in the hallways and in committee rooms and in offices about issues of school safety, broadband initiative, working with the Senate on the ethics issue, which a press conference was earlier today. So we've had some good working relationships on the floor. Everybody was working together and trying to debate the bills, and process was working this week.
There's a lot of gun proposals out there. I mean, we saw one get through committee with Farley's bill. We saw that Representative Moore is bringing another one to kind of ban assault weapons or semi-automatic weapons.
Sure.
Is there any proposal at this point that you personally think is a good idea?
No, and I say that from the standpoint of that I've read the bills. I know that during the process, bills are going to be amended in committee and changes are made to the finished product when it comes out. But I will tell you what we're doing next week. We're going to concentrate on all of these pieces of legislation which were prompted really because of gun violence and to include school safety. And so what we're doing, we're going to sit down at the table with all of the sponsors of bills and the legislators that have been involved in the school safety task force issues that we addressed a few years ago. We're going to bring these people to the table, and we're going to sit in a room and just informally, we're going to talk about how these bills may cross over, What is the intent of the sponsor through the piece of legislation that they have? What are they trying to accomplish through this? And how does it promote safety in our state? And so through all of these discussions, I hope that we're able to understand exactly where we want to go with all this legislation.
How much have these proposals, due to the violence that happened down in Florida, school safety, gun issue, how much has this had an influence on the course of how this session is going, sir?
I don't know, Randy. That's a difficult question because it was, and the reason I say it's difficult because when we started the session, that was not a part of the conversation. Now here we are already into the session, and it becomes a part of the conversation. So you really can't say that it had an effect from start to finish or start up to this point. But from the time that it did happen, then school safety, the safety of our children, the gun issue, that started to become a topic of discussion. But I don't think it has taken over the legislative process because we're addressing other bills and there's conversations on other issues.